Here is something most people never learn until a doctor tells them directly. Somewhere between 70 and 80% of your entire immune system lives inside your gut. Not your bloodstream, not your lymph nodes, your gut. Which means that when your digestive system is struggling, it is not just about bloating after dinner or an uncomfortable stomachache. It is about a system that quietly influences your immunity, your energy, and far more of your daily well-being than most people ever realize. Today, a doctor walks you through 7 signs that your gut may not be working as well as it should. Stick around until the end because the 7th sign is the one almost nobody connects to digestion. And once you understand the surprising reason behind it, you may never look at an ordinary tired afternoon the same way again. Before we get into it, if you find value in clear, science-based health information like this, take a moment to subscribe to Longevity Insight. This channel exists to help you understand your body better and take practical steps toward feeling stronger, sharper, and more energetic at every stage of life. And we publish new videos regularly covering exactly the kind of everyday health signals that are easy to overlook. It takes 2 seconds, and it means you will not miss what is coming next. Now, let us talk about your gut. Your digestive system does far more than simply break down the food you eat. It absorbs the nutrients your body depends on for everything from muscle repair to brain function. It houses trillions of bacteria collectively known as the gut microbiome, and it maintains a direct, constant line of communication with your brain through a pathway researchers call the gut-brain axis. This connection runs through the vagus nerve and involves an extensive network, sometimes called the enteric nervous system, a web of roughly 500 million neurons lining your digestive tract, dense enough that scientists often refer to the gut as the body's second brain, capable of managing a great deal of digestive activity on its own, independent of direct instructions from the brain, while still maintaining constant two-way communication with it. When this system is functioning well, you barely think about it. When it starts to struggle, the signs are often subtle at first, easy to explain away as something you ate, a stressful week, or simply getting older. Let us walk through what those signs actually look like. It is also worth pointing out just how common these kinds of digestive complaints actually are, even though most people assume their own experience is unusual or embarrassing to bring up. Research into digestive health suggests that roughly 1 in 4 adults worldwide deals with digestive symptoms significant enough to affect their quality of life, even when those symptoms do not rise to the level of a formal diagnosed condition. That is an enormous number of people quietly dealing with bloating, irregular bowel habits, or ongoing discomfort, often assuming it is simply their normal, or something everyone deals with, or too minor to mention at a doctor's appointment. Understanding that these experiences are both common and in many cases meaningfully improvable is exactly why we are walking through this list today. Sign number 1 is frequent bloating. Occasional bloating after a large meal or certain foods is normal and nothing to worry about. But regular, persistent bloating, especially if your stomach feels visibly distended by the end of most days, can be a signal that something in your digestive process is not running smoothly. This might mean your body is struggling to break down certain foods efficiently, that gas is building up due to an imbalance in gut bacteria, or that food is moving through your digestive tract more slowly than it should. Some people notice their bloating follows a predictable pattern, worsening after specific foods like dairy, wheat, or certain vegetables, which can be a useful clue pointing toward a food sensitivity or intolerance worth investigating. Others notice it seems to happen regardless of what they eat, which points more toward an underlying imbalance in gut bacteria or slower digestive motility. Either way, bloating that shows up consistently rather than occasionally after a particularly heavy meal deserves more attention than most people give it. Sign number 2 is constipation, meaning fewer than 3 bowel movements per week, stools that are hard or difficult to pass, or a persistent sense of incomplete emptying. This is one of the most common digestive complaints, and it becomes more common with age for a few specific reasons. Digestive motility, the wave-like muscle contractions that move food and waste through your intestines, naturally slows somewhat as we get older. Reduced physical activity, lower fiber intake, inadequate hydration, and certain medications, including some blood pressure medications, antidepressants, and pain relievers can all contribute as well. The pelvic floor muscles that support proper elimination can also weaken gradually with age, particularly in people who have had abdominal surgeries or who spend long stretches of the day sitting rather than moving. Occasional constipation after travel or a change in routine is common and usually resolves on its own. But constipation that has become a regular, ongoing pattern is worth addressing, both because it is uncomfortable and because chronic straining can contribute to other issues over time, including hemorrhoids and pelvic floor strain. Sign number 3 is diarrhea, particularly when it becomes frequent or persistent rather than a short-lived response to a stomach bug or unfamiliar food. When digestion is not working properly, food and waste can move through the intestines too quickly, preventing your body from properly absorbing water and nutrients along the way. Chronic or recurring diarrhea can point towards several underlying issues, including food intolerances, bacterial imbalances in the gut, or inflammatory digestive conditions. It is also worth mentioning that persistent diarrhea carries its own risks beyond simple inconvenience, including dehydration and nutrient deficiencies, which is exactly why a pattern that lasts more than a few days or that recurs repeatedly over weeks and months deserves a conversation with your doctor rather than simply being managed with over-the-counter remedies indefinitely. Sign number 4 is excessive gas, meaning noticeably more frequent or more uncomfortable gas than what feels normal for you. Some gas production is a completely normal part of digestion, particularly as gut bacteria break down fiber and certain carbohydrates. But a significant increase in gas, especially when it is accompanied by discomfort, cramping, or a strong odor that feels unusual, can indicate that certain foods are not being digested efficiently or that there is an imbalance in the types of bacteria present in your gut. Some people find that specific foods like beans, certain vegetables, or dairy products are more likely to trigger this response, while others notice it happening more broadly, which again points toward a deeper look at overall gut bacterial balance rather than a single dietary trigger. Sign number 5 is persistent stomach discomfort, which might show up as a dull ache, a burning sensation, cramping, or a general feeling that your stomach is unsettled, even outside of mealtimes. This is different from the occasional stomach upset everyone experiences now and then. We are talking about discomfort that recurs regularly, sometimes daily, and that does not have an obvious trigger like a specific meal or stressful event. This kind of ongoing discomfort can stem from several sources, including acid reflux, an imbalance in stomach acid production, inflammation in the digestive lining, or a broader dysfunction in how the gut and brain are communicating with each other. Some people notice the discomfort worsens after eating, which can point toward how efficiently food is being broken down, while others notice it strikes on an empty stomach, which can suggest excess acid production or irritation of the stomach lining itself. Because persistent stomach discomfort can also be an early signal of more significant digestive conditions, it is one of the 7 signs on this list that particularly warrants a proper medical evaluation rather than simply reaching for antacids and hoping it resolves on its own. Sign number 6 is changes in appetite, whether that means a noticeable decrease in hunger, an increase in cravings for certain foods, or feeling unusually full after eating only a small amount, something doctors sometimes call early satiety. Your gut communicates directly with your brain through hormonal signals that regulate hunger and fullness, and when digestion is not working efficiently, these signals can become disrupted. Some people notice they simply do not feel hungry the way they used to, even at normal meal times, while others notice the opposite, persistent hunger or specific cravings that seem disconnected from actual nutritional need. An imbalance in gut bacteria has also been linked in research to changes in cravings, particularly for sugar and highly processed foods, since certain bacterial populations actually thrive on these foods and may influence the signals your brain receives in ways that keep you reaching for more of them, creating a self-reinforcing cycle, where the very foods that harm gut balance are the ones your body seems to crave most. A meaningful, unexplained shift in appetite that persists for more than a couple of weeks is worth mentioning to your doctor, particularly if it comes with unintended weight change in either direction, since appetite shifts can occasionally point toward causes beyond the digestive system as well, making a proper evaluation the safest path forward. And now, sign number 7, the one I promised you at the beginning, unexplained fatigue. This is the sign that catches almost everyone off guard because on the surface, tiredness seems to have nothing to do with digestion. But here's the connection almost nobody knows about. Over 90% of the serotonin in your entire body, the neurotransmitter most associated with mood and a sense of calm well-being, is actually produced in your gut, not your brain. Your gut bacteria also play a direct role in producing and regulating other compounds that influence energy metabolism and inflammation throughout your body. When gut function is compromised, whether through poor nutrient absorption, an imbalance in gut bacteria, or chronic low-grade inflammation in the digestive lining, the downstream effects can include a real physical sense of fatigue that has nothing to do with how much sleep you got the night before. On top of that, if your gut is not absorbing nutrients efficiently, including iron, B vitamins, and other nutrients essential for energy production, that alone can produce a persistent, hard-to-shake tiredness. This is exactly why doctors increasingly consider digestive health when evaluating patients with unexplained fatigue that does not improve with rest, better sleep, or the usual lifestyle adjustments, because sometimes the real root cause is sitting quietly in the gut rather than anywhere else. Now that we've gone through all 7 signs, it is worth understanding what tends to cause gut function to decline in the first place, since several of these causes are well within your control. But before we get to causes, let us circle back briefly to that immune system connection we opened this video with, because it explains why gut health deserves so much more attention than it typically receives. With the majority of your immune system's activity concentrated in and around the digestive tract, an unhealthy or imbalanced gut does not just create uncomfortable symptoms, it can also leave your body less prepared to fend off infections, manage inflammation efficiently, and recover from illness the way it should. This is part of why doctors increasingly view gut health not as a niche concern limited to people with diagnosed digestive conditions, but as a foundational piece of overall health that touches nearly every other system in the body. Diet plays an enormous role, and a diet low in fiber and high in processed foods, added sugar, and unhealthy fats can meaningfully reduce the diversity and balance of bacteria in your gut over time. Research has consistently shown that a more diverse, fiber-rich diet supports a healthier, more resilient gut microbiome, which in turn supports better digestion, stronger immune function, and even improved mood regulation through the gut-brain connection we talked about earlier. Chronic stress is another significant factor, and this connects directly back to that bidirectional gut-brain communication pathway. When you are under prolonged stress, your body produces stress hormones that can directly affect gut motility, increase inflammation in the digestive tract, and even shift the balance of bacteria living there. This is part of why so many people notice their digestive symptoms, whether that is stomach discomfort, changes in bowel habits, or appetite shifts, becoming noticeably worse during particularly stressful periods of life, even when their diet has not changed at all. Aging itself brings some natural changes to digestive function, including slower motility, reduced stomach acid production in some individuals, and gradual shifts in the composition of gut bacteria over the decades. None of this means digestive decline is inevitable or unavoidable as we age, but it does mean that supporting gut health becomes increasingly valuable rather than less important the older we get. Certain medications, including frequent use of antibiotics, some pain relievers, and acid-reducing medications used long-term, can also disrupt the natural balance of gut bacteria, sometimes contributing to several of the signs we discussed today. This does not mean these medications should be avoided when genuinely needed, but it does mean that anyone on long-term medication that affects the digestive system should be mindful of supporting gut health through diet and, when appropriate, through a conversation with their doctor about probiotic support. Underlying digestive conditions are also worth mentioning, including irritable bowel syndrome, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, celiac disease, and inflammatory bowel conditions like Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. Irritable bowel syndrome, for example, often presents with a shifting combination of bloating, altered bowel habits, and discomfort that can wax and wane over months, while celiac disease specifically involves an immune reaction to gluten that damages the lining of the small intestine, interfering with nutrient absorption in ways that can produce fatigue and appetite changes alongside more obvious digestive symptoms. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, sometimes abbreviated as SIBO, occurs when bacteria that normally belong further down the digestive tract migrate and multiply in the small intestine, often producing significant bloating and gas shortly after eating. These conditions often present with a combination of the signs we have covered today, and proper diagnosis matters significantly since treatment approaches differ considerably depending on the underlying cause. This is precisely why persistent or worsening digestive symptoms should be evaluated by a healthcare professional rather than managed indefinitely through trial and error with over-the-counter remedies. So what can you actually do to support a healthier, better functioning gut starting today? Fiber is one of the most powerful and accessible tools available since it feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut, supports regular bowel movements, and has been consistently linked to a more diverse, resilient microbiome. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds are all excellent sources, and variety matters here as much as quantity, since different types of fiber feed different beneficial bacterial species, meaning a more varied diet tends to support a more diverse and balanced gut ecosystem overall. Hydration matters more for digestion than many people realize, since adequate water intake helps keep stool soft and supports the smooth movement of waste through your intestines. Chronic mild dehydration is a common and often overlooked contributor to constipation, particularly in older adults whose sense of thirst can become less reliable with age. Managing stress deserves genuine attention here, not as an afterthought, but as a legitimate piece of digestive health strategy. Practices like regular physical activity, adequate sleep, time spent outdoors, deep breathing exercises, or simply carving out moments of genuine relaxation in your day can meaningfully reduce the stress-related strain on your digestive system, given how directly connected the gut and the nervous system actually are. Regular exercise itself independently supports healthy digestion, since physical movement helps stimulate the natural muscle contractions that move food through your intestines. Even a daily walk has been shown to meaningfully improve digestive regularity and reduce bloating for many people, making it one of the simplest and most accessible interventions available. Finally, probiotic and prebiotic foods deserve a specific mention. Probiotic foods like yogurt with live active cultures, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and other fermented foods introduce beneficial bacteria directly into your digestive system. Prebiotic foods, including garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, and bananas, provide the fuel that beneficial bacteria need to thrive. Together, these two categories work in tandem to support a healthier, more balanced gut microbiome over time. For some people, a probiotic supplement may also be worth discussing with a doctor, particularly following a course of antibiotics or during a period of significant digestive disruption, though whole foods remain a strong foundation for most people's daily routine. There is one more thing worth saying before we wrap up entirely. So much of the advice in this video probably sounds familiar. Eat more fiber, manage your stress, stay hydrated, move your body. None of it is flashy or complicated, and that is precisely the point. Gut health does not usually respond to dramatic interventions or expensive supplements nearly as reliably as it responds to consistent, unglamorous daily habits practiced over weeks and months. The trillions of bacteria living in your digestive tract respond remarkably well to small, steady inputs. A bit more fiber at breakfast, a short walk after dinner, a few minutes of genuine relaxation before bed, and over time, these small inputs tend to compound into meaningfully better digestion, more stable energy, and a stronger foundation for the rest of your health to build on. I want to leave you with this thought before we wrap up. Your gut is not simply a digestive organ working in isolation somewhere beneath your ribs. It is a deeply interconnected system that shapes your immunity, your energy, your mood, and even how clearly you think, largely without you ever noticing its influence until something goes wrong. The 7 signs we covered today, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, excessive gas, persistent stomach discomfort, changes in appetite, and unexplained fatigue, are not meant to alarm you into worrying about every uncomfortable meal or occasional off day. They are meant to help you recognize when a pattern has emerged that is worth paying closer attention to and worth mentioning to a healthcare professional rather than quietly living around. If this video gave you something valuable today, I would really appreciate it if you took a moment to leave a comment below and let me know which of these 7 signs surprised you the most, or share which gut-friendly habit you are planning to try first. Your comments genuinely help this channel reach more people who need this information, and they help shape what topics we tackle next. If you have a friend or family member who has been dealing with ongoing digestive discomfort, please consider sharing this video with them today. It might be exactly the nudge they need to finally bring it up with their doctor instead of just living with it. And if you have not subscribed to Longevity Insight yet, now is a great time to do it. We are building a community here focused on clear, practical, science-based guidance for feeling stronger and healthier at every stage of life. With more videos on heart health, kidney health, and healthy sleep already on the channel and plenty more on the way. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of that gut of yours. It has been working behind the scenes for your whole life, quietly supporting far more of your health than you probably ever realized.